Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we'd like to welcome you to the first ever episode of The Source WWE AEW All Things Wrestling Podcast with Joe and
Mike.
Yeah. All right, welcome, guys. Like I said, it's the first ever episode. Mike and I have been talking about doing this podcast for a little bit. I am Joe. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. Been wanting to do something like this for a long time. I just like to get on here, talk shit, talk wrestling, talk about how much we love and hate WWE and AEW at the same time.
And I am a wrestling fan revived. In my younger years, I'd say 6 years old until about, maybe 18, 19, super into wrestling, like watched it every day, every Raw, every SmackDown, religiously, super fan. Wrestling figures, you name it. Wrestling underwear, you name it. Yep. But then, college came, things happened. I stopped watching. Wrestling got kind of weird for me. And it wasn't until last year, actually, at the Royal Rumble. WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That I ended up getting really into it again.
Yep,
and here we are.
Right.
I'm fully invested. I've rewatched all the old things. I'm locked, I'm loaded. I got all the knowledge back. And I'm back in it fully.
There's no entertainment like sports entertainment. You know what I mean? And it's just like, there's nothing more exciting than watching a Royal Rumble. And, you never know when that clock ticks, who's going to be coming down that aisle. You know what I mean? But we're on the road to WrestleMania.
We definitely are.
Royal Rumble just happened. If we can,
did it happen?
Royal Rumble, post Royal Rumble life right now. Cody wins his second Rumble in a row. Hasn't been done in over 20 years. Joins the likes of Austin. Guys like Sean. Yep, correct. Yeah. Joins the likes of Austin, HBK, guys like that. Okay, let's cut to the chase and just jump right in. We're going to be giving you everything from last week's Collision to Monday Night Raw, NXT, AEW Dynamite, and SmackDown. So as we start, obviously we're going to start with Monday Night Raw. And we all know how last week's episode started, Mike. We all know how that started. The CM Punk promo. He comes out, everyone's basically in tears already. We know what's going to happen.
Or do we?
I mean, we were talking about it. We talked about it before Raw came on. I was at work. I hit you up, and I was like, dude, Punk is looking hurt right now. I don't know. My sources are pretty good.
I understand as a human being how if you're that seriously hurt that you're going to have to miss WrestleMania and it's really going to affect your career, how you're going to be in a promo the very next day or next 2 days that has you physically in an altercation with Drew McIntyre.
That was literally that day.
It doesn't speak to me that he's seriously injured, so I'm interested to see where this goes. I feel like it's a hoax. I feel like, I don't know, maybe they didn't have room for him this year, and that's the only way to get around not having him in WrestleMania.
The Drew McIntyre attack happened during that promo. It happened then. Like, he announced he was hurt. It's confirmed he's missing Mania, and then boom, there's McIntyre.
Yeah, but I feel like every time somebody comes out to do a serious injury promo,
you
hear somebody else's music come on, that it's a work or something, because why would you be cutting a promo starting a rivalry when you're going to be out for a while? You know what I mean? It's weird.
But at the same time,
we've seen it so many times.
I know. My thought about it is to set up a future feud with Drew and Punk. You know what I mean?
That's great, but if he's talking about an injury that's going to keep him out 6 to 8 months, who knows what it's going to be be then?
True that.
Literally, the landscape could be completely different.
It could be.
Drew could have already
it very well could be
a run or something,
Right. And all questions aside, it was a dope promo though between Drew and Punk. It was dope. But as we move on, to the first match, we have DIY, who's kind of on a hot streak right now. They have beaten the Judgment Day for a 3 count in a non-title match.
They're pushing for them to do something.
They are pushing.
I'm not a fan. There's so many better things they can do.
I feel you, but Gargano couldn't get over by himself. You know what I mean? He got over on NXT very well.
It's not his time. They need to be a little more patient. NXT could be its own little league. You know what I mean? That people stay in for a while.
And it is.
He might be one of those guys that just needs to.
Look at Corbin. Look at Corbin. He went back there and revitalized himself.
Yeah, Corbin. I think they just knew that there was so much incoming talent coming that they just stuffed him down there for a little while. Make sure
we need some kind of enhancer down here.
If Brock's coming up, he should come up with them
for sure. We get this tag team title match on Monday Night Raw, and Ciampa and Gargano are looking good lately. They're coming off a few wins. Obviously, though, it doesn't matter. It's the Judgment Day. You know, they always seem to find a way, don't they?
Certainly do.
End of the match. Priest hits the Razor's Edge. Here comes Balor. Coup de grace, 3 count.
See, I love that he did the Razor's Edge because I feel like he hasn't used it as much as
he has not
lately.
He has not, and he's a big Scott Hall fan. Like I said, he's got the blood drips on the gear.
He does a good Razor's Edge. He does. You know what I mean?
He does. He's openly admitted that Hall is one of his favorite wrestlers. He's got
a top 5 choke slam too.
He does.
He's got some air on it.
He does.
Height, you know?
I still think he's mid card. I still think he's a little.
I don't know. It's like he's one of those guys that you're like, oh, he's mid card, but you forget about his growth.
I know.
You forget about how fast. Like it's almost you don't realize how fast Damian Priest has come up to the main roster and just blended in. Like you've thought he's been here forever, but it wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, then he was not around. Yeah, or he was on NXT looking completely different.
Exactly. You know, so it's good to see him doing well. It's good to see it.
Then after that, you got Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler, which I'm not a fan of really either one, Mike. They took on Piper Niven and Chelsea Green.
And this is just forcing us to try to have a women's tag team division right now. It's like they're trying to fit it in somehow because WrestleMania is coming up and they got to create some hype with those titles. You know? Right,
and I mean, I like Chelsea Green. I like what she's doing. She's got the whole Karen gimmick going, and it's working for her.
Even on Twitter or X, they call it now.
Yes.
She's been really funny on there too, like keeping in character and stuff.
Right.
Check it out; it's so funny.
Wasn't the longest match in the world. You know what I mean? You had a little bit of back and forth, and then
I think it was like a 2-minute match. Right?
Yeah, it was. They're quick, especially it's not like AEW matches where you actually get a long match. But Zoe hits the Z360. And Shayna and Stark win. So that kind of raises their stock in the women's tag team title division.
Which I don't like that it was at the expense of Piper Niven and Chelsea Green because I really like that tag team. And I feel like now that's like kind of one of the another step down for them into irrelevancy.
Right. Because now you have the team of the Kabuki Warriors from SmackDown, who are holding those championships, and I'm just still not sold on Asuka and Kairi Sane at all.
It just makes the most sense right now.
Asuka is solid in the ring, yes.
But it makes the most sense right now for them to have it.
I guess.
Whatever. But...
Yeah, Damage Control had to look strong, even though we know what happened on Friday. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah. It's a whole nother show. So Cody comes out, all right, fresh off of a Royal Rumble victory. His second in a row. Did we mention that yet? We did.
Yep, he's running around. He's literally running around the ring and celebrating.
Yep.
Crowd's going nuts. Crowd's popping.
Mega babyface run. So he's talking about, who's he going to face? Is it going to be the Tribal Chief? Or are we finishing the story? Or is it going to be Seth freaking Rollins?
And then Rollins' music just hits.
Right. Now Rollins comes down and is like, oh, you want this title, Cody.
Well, he congratulates him.
He does. He's
like, honestly, he's like, you've grown on me lately a little bit. He's like, I feel like we have a mutual respect going on.
For sure. And they've had some battles.
He's like, I'm proud of you. And he's like, the right man won the Royal Rumble.
Right.
And that's when he goes into it, right?
Yeah, where he's
saying
like,
it's the workman's title.
Yes, this is the workhorse title. He goes, do you want the Hollywood title? Which he's referring to the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. Or do you want the Dusty Rhodes title?
Meanwhile, the crowd in the background is like all saying no and crossing their arms.
Absolutely not.
It's clear that nobody wants to see Cody Rhodes versus Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship for WrestleMania.
And Cody says he'll think about it. And we're all like, dude, I don't know.
Which makes me sad.
Yeah, we're all like, I don't know, man.
I wanted answers.
We want to finish the story. We
thought this was the easy choice.
Right, but it's not.
Yeah.
This is the WrestleMania 39 rematch that we wanted. Might not be that for WrestleMania 40. Curtain closes. Now we're on the Jey Uso versus Big Bronson Reed.
Yep, and they're trying to get him over.
Yes, they are. Big. So it's like that Vince McMahon, everything's going to be big. It's such good shit.
Yeah, he doesn't have a voice. He doesn't have anything going on. No. But he's just great to watch.
But
he really is fun to watch.
He's a spectacle. He's got the moves for sure. And
Jey Uso's just so over, and they don't even know what to do with him.
Main event, Jey Uso is having garbage time matches.
Imagine having a problem where you got two superstars that are just super over the top over, like LA Knight and Jey Uso, and you don't know what to do with them.
I know. So, needless to say, decent match. Nothing extravagant. Bronson goes for the tsunami to obviously crush Jey Uso, and Jey Uso ends up moving. Mm-hmm. So that opens up the old Uso splash from the top rope.
Head first into the ring post.
The thing is, like, Jey Uso is 225 pounds or something like that. Mm-hmm. Him doing a splash off the top rope onto Bronson Reed, like, what is that doing to him? Is that really the finish? You know what I mean? I feel like a super kick would have been better.
Well, yeah, but he's got to have other things too,
True that.
And Uso is, he's just hanging around for his shot at, I think, the Intercontinental title. So he needs little victories like this.
Right. Right. Because
keep him relevant, keep him in the conversation.
In order to compete with the Ring General, you're going to have to win matches. He's not just going to give away those title shots, And that brings us to the next match, which is Kofi Kingston versus the Ring General.
Which is great, but you kind of wonder, what are we doing? I guess we're keeping Kofi active. We're trying to, keep him relevant. But obviously Gunther wins this, and it's like...
Yeah, it's just another sharpening of the sword for Gunther on his road to WrestleMania, you know what I mean? And they're saying the original plan was for Brock to take on Gunther at Mania, but we all know what happened there.
Yeah, so does that mean that Braun Breaker falls into that slot?
I mean, since he took his Royal Rumble spot in all of his proper eliminations, I don't see why not.
That would be pretty awesome if Braun Breaker takes the Intercontinental title and then he feuds with Jey Uso.
I could go for that. I could definitely go for that.
And they swap the title back and forth, whatever,
It's just going to be tough for me as a big Gunther guy. It's going to be tough for me to see him eventually lose that Intercontinental Championship because he's made it so prestigious. We can't forget the last...
he's got it. He's just dragging the record out. It's like, who's going to ever pass it?
No one's ever going to beat him.
So It's like, come on, you've passed it by a good milestone now. It's time to move on. And we've already seen the hints, and they always give us the hints. You know what I mean?
The hints
and you
got
to pay attention to that. And, he has been talking lately about World Heavyweight consideration.
He has. He's come close to winning 2 Royal Rumbles now.
So they have other things they can be doing with those belts. I guess I thought maybe they would have other plans for the U.S. title, but it seems like Logan Paul is actually kind of doing a good job at being
I'm a Logan
US
Paul guy,
so.
man. I'm a Logan Paul guy. I'm
a realist, and to be real, a little bit of a punk. A little bit, a little hard to watch once in a while. But recently, he's been very good and entertaining. And if I'm going to be entertained by his rivalries and his brass knuckles and this and that and the shenanigans, I'm down. I'm down for a little while.
If you've
I want to see LA Knight grab that title.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's my dream Mania U.S. title match is LA Knight, versus Logan Paul. On the Mania stage. But it's kind of looking like it's probably going to trend towards KO.
And this matchup with Kofi Kingston and Gunther, I thought a few times that Kofi Kingston was going to take this. I was like, is this really might happen? I don't know.
It was close. We had Kofi diving, to the outside, crashing into Gunther, into an announce table. And
he hit the Trouble in Paradise.
Right, but then the Ring General, the Ring General that he is, just rolls out of the ring to avoid being pinned.
Which we've seen him do so many times before.
Right, and I mean...
He's smart. He's smart man. Aware.
It's ring presence. It's awareness. It's very, very smart. But
at the end of the day...
We all know what happens. Gunther retains the Intercontinental Championship. All is well in the world. Yet we are still waiting and wondering who Gunther's opponent's going to be for WrestleMania.
So maybe all is not well in the world because we're still looking for answers.
Yeah, right.
Which I thought by SmackDown we'd have answers, but we'll get to that soon.
Oh yeah,
but, we got some answers.
We still have a way to go for answers.
Well, what a good friend Xavier Woods is coming out and checking on Kofi Kingston after the match, but then all of a sudden Imperium comes running out and just starts tooling on the two guys.
Yep, and they're trying to impress the Ring General. So, you're going to get your ass kicked is basically what's going to happen. Next, we got Damage Control members Kairi Sane and Asuka facing off against Tegan Nox and Natalya. Once again, not a very long match, especially women's matches for some reason, unless it's at Mania or something big. We don't get long women's matches. It ends quick. Asuka hits the double arm underhook DDT, 1, 2, 3. That's the end of that. And as we move on, we now have a main event match with Drew McIntyre versus Sami Zayn.
And we all know these guys have some bad blood. I mean, Drew's all, sour that, Sami Zayn let, Jey Uso come back with opening arms or whatever.
Right.
He's all sour about that and some other stuff. So here we go.
The match is back and forth. Sammy's pulling out some stuff. Drew's pulling out some stuff. They're fighting in the ring. They're fighting outside of the ring. Sammy gets thrown into the announce table at one point. It's basically just chaos. Sammy hits the blue thunder bomb. All right? Everyone thinks it's over. It's a 2 count. McIntyre gets up. He's in the corner. Sammy's going for that haluva kick. Drew ducks. Now Sammy's hurt. He's stirring in the corner. He gets up, gets hit with a claymore. That's the end of your match, folks. And basically, heel Drew McIntyre once again prevails and is on to his next victim. Credits roll. That's the end of Raw, guys. Stick around. We really appreciate you listening. We're going to do some NXT coverage. Lightning fast coming up next.
All right, we're going to touch on NXT right now, lightning fast. The show started off with Trick Mello tag team versus the LWO in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. The winner gets a title shot versus the current NXT champions of the tag team kind.
Nice.
Trick Mello won the match. Joaquin Wild was coming off the top rope right into a Mello knee buster, which really set him back. And then all of a sudden gave him the tag to Trick. And he came in and whooped that Trick with the trick knee,
that trick.
Right to the face. And then it was a 1, 2, 3 easy count after that. After that match, we had Roxanne Perez versus Tatum Paisley.
Ooh, sounds spicy.
Perez won. She prevailed with the Pop Rocks, which I'm really enjoying seeing from her. It's a nice little upside down flip type, finisher that gets them every time.
I like it.
Lola Vice versus Elektra Lopez next. Lola Vice getting her with the kick for the 1, 2 thrizzle.
For shizzle.
Lexis King versus Ridge, which was kind of fiery backstage. Remember they were shooting a promo backstage. Lexis King wanted the attention, as he always does, pissing off Ridge, and all of a sudden they're in a match. But in the end of it all, Lexis King hit the coronation for the win. He's been impressing. I know you're a fan.
Can I just say, all right, not a biased opinion or anything. It's just a straight opinion for what I think about this dude. From when he was Brian Pillman Jr. to now, to the whole Lexis King gimmick. I love him. I am a big fan of his dad. Obviously, if you know who Brian Pillman was. Back in the 90s, kind of start of the Attitude Era days, he was the loose cannon. And Lexis King was living on that name for a long time, the Brian Pillman Jr. But now I think he's really come into his own, I would say, with this whole Lexis King thing. And he looks great in the ring, cuts a good promo. I'm with it, man.
Looks good so far, and hopefully he has a nice long career, seeing as though he's young and plenty of time. Right?
Absolutely. Long live Lexis King.
Now we have the NXT main event, Noam Dar versus Von Wagner for the Heritage Cup, and it seems like Noam Dar just can't lose this thing, and everybody, I want him to lose it, and he's not that impressive to me, but he's had this for a long time now. He was out for injury, came back, faked the injury, come back, and then won it back. And
the thing with
he's just
Dar,
had it now, and keep going.
The thing with Dar, it's just like he did not resonate on the main roster well. I don't know if you remember, we're going back years. Noam Dar was a main roster guy, and it just didn't resonate, didn't translate to the fans, and eventually he ended up back in NXT where it's actually working.
Behind the Heritage Cup because they won't let him lose it. You knew this matchup was going to be good. It was against Von Wagner, and he's had a great storyline so far. And they went up against each other. Von Wagner had his moments where you thought, "Oh my God, he's going to win this. He's going to powerhouse his way through this." But Noam Dar was just a smart fighter the whole time. He got him on a couple pinfalls.
He's got those cerebral. He's definitely got that cerebral offense. You know what I mean?
He got it done, and afterwards, Von Wagner did his thing and put some people through some tables. From what I remember,
who doesn't love tables? We want
that
tables.
That was fun, but we can't forget that during this NXT episode, there was also a promo where they introduced the third member of the Mafia family of the Don and the Underboss.
Yes.
That'd be Adriana Rizzo, who's now an official third member of that faction. And
I'd like to see where that ends.
That's like my favorite part right now is the Don and the Underboss. They're so cool and, entertaining. So
it's over.
I love the concept. I love everything about it.
It's definitely over. And obviously, WWE likes to listen to the fans for the most part. And if something's over, they're just going to keep rolling with it. And as we roll, we are going to now start the AEW portion of our show. We're going to start it with AEW Collision on 127-24. Now, the show kicks off with a pretty cool tag match, right? It's the BCC, Mox and Claudio Castagnoli. They're taking on Shane Taylor Promotions, which is Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor. So you basically get a brawl right away, right outside the ring. Like, just straight up Blackpool Combat Club stuff, like not even getting in the ring and wrestling. Mox ends up choking out Shane Taylor with a Blackpool Combat Club shirt, just like wrapped it right around his neck and just choked him out.
I remember seeing that.
And Claudio's out here throwing European uppercuts like he does. Mox ends up tagging in, cleans house, hits Moriarty with a cutter. And then you got Claudio taking out Taylor. Mox wins with the rear naked choke. He's been pulling that out a lot more lately. You usually see that double arm DDT, the dirty deeds. I think that's what they called it. But he ends up choking.
Love Mox.
Yeah, man. Can't say enough good
the
things.
True American hero.
Can't say enough good things about Moxley, but it's like, you don't have to bleed every time you go out there, dude. You really don't.
I think you do. If you're Mox.
If you're him, yeah. He's got that going for him for sure. So that one, it was a choke out by ref decision. He just rang the bell. No pin or anything like that. Up next, you got Orange Cassidy, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, versus Commander for the International Championship. So what's your thoughts on Orange Cassidy? How you feel about him?
I love him. I think he's honestly one of the main things that they have going as a brand as far as natural talent.
Yeah,
they've cultivated themselves,
Right.
Orange Cassidy is entertaining. His look, his attire, the way he acts, the way he talks,
everything he does,
his moveset.
He's literally like
he's a superstar.
He's literally like, yo, my name's Orange Cassidy, and I don't have a gimmick, and I don't have a catchphrase. That's his catchphrase. Is I don't have a catchphrase.
With MJF out.
It's a big hit. It's a big hit.
They gotta double
MJF,
down.
If you're out there listening, we miss you. We need you, man. All right? I'm just saying. So basically, with that match, you're seeing a lot of chain wrestling, a lot of high-speed offense. Commander diving to the side of the ring, ends up attacking Mike Bennett and Matt Taven because they're ringside. So then Cassidy hits the orange punch, like the Great Value Superman punch.
Love it.
Yeah, and gets the 3 there, and still international champion is freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. So then we get a backstage promo with Swerve, right? Our guy Swerve. Whose house? Whose house? Swerve's house. So he's cutting a promo on one of the Dealer's Choice matches, which is basically you choose your opponent's opponent. So he went and chose Toa Inoue to go against Hangman for the next Dynamite show, which should be really entertaining to see. But up next, Continental Crown Eliminator match, Mad King Eddie Kingston versus Willie Mack. Eddie Kingston, while we're on this subject, during Christmas I was trying to buy my kids some action figures, right? Some cool ones, right? I go to Walmart and I'm looking for AEW figs, anything. All they had was Eddie Kingston. They had 35 Eddie Kingstons on the shelf. That's crazy. I left there without a figure. I'm sorry, Eddie Kingston, but I left there without a figure because...
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Kid did not want the Eddie Kingston.
No, man. It was an overload. But anyway, the match starts. Mac's looking strong. They're exchanging chops. Mac goes for a 6-star frog splash. Eddie ends up moving. Naturally, of course, it can't end that way. And Eddie ends up hitting that spinning back fist. 1, 2, 3. Match is over.
Honestly, I love Eddie Kingston too, but he's hogging up too many titles in my opinion right now.
Yeah, he's kind of a title whore right now.
He's a great wrestler, and I get his whole shtick, and I love the tough guy thing. but he's not that impressive to hold that many titles, in my opinion. And I don't know. I feel like they just need to chill out. He doesn't lose. They don't let him lose. Like, what is his? Who is he involved with over there that he gets so much great treatment over there?
I know. He's got everything going right now. I don't remember who it was, but I remember somebody cutting a promo on Eddie Kingston and telling him that he reeked of Newports and Burger King or something like that. Might have been MJF. I don't know. Up next, though, we got the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and the Yes Movement versus Yuji Nagata. Sorry if I butchered that, man. Like, these New Japan guys, they're not my particular favorite guys, so sorry if I'm offending anybody out there. A lot of mat wrestling, man. Danielson comes in with some limb targeting, going for the legs, working the leg. And, they're selling that hard. Nagata hits the Fujiwara armbar, which, has the potential to end a match. That's a pretty devastating maneuver. Bryan ends up breaking that rope break. And, they're scuffling. Bryan hits that running knee. 1, 2, 3. American Dragon with the win. Collision rolls on. You get the returning Serena Deeb versus Robin Renegade. Now, as soon as Deeb comes out, the crowd's chanting welcome back because she's been gone for a while. So, that was kind of good to see. I do like what she can do in the ring. She's pretty fucking good, not going to lie. So it starts off with some face slaps, back and forth face slaps. See that a lot, I know, but that's what happened. Deeb ends up hitting Serenity with a neck breaker. Slaps on the Serenity lock. Renegade has no choice but to tap out. And also cuts a promo after the match. So she just tapped this chick out, and then she's like, yo, did you miss me, basically? Now, the main event, stacked, bro. Stacked. When I say stacked, I'm talking 6-man steel cage elimination match. So it's billed as Mark Briscoe and FTR versus the House of Black. You got Brody King. You got Buddy Matthews. Rhea Ripley's love there. Can we talk about her for a second?
Absolutely.
Oh, Rhea, if you're out there, you could do better than Buddy, man. That's all I'm saying. Sorry.
I mean, you may have a love interest for Rhea Ripley, but for me, it's all about Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong there. Right there. I wouldn't say no to either one of them. But you got Mark Briscoe making his entrance, right? He's coming out. He's replacing Garcia, who is also supposed to be injured. Briscoe comes out. The lights go out. House of Black shows up. They end up throwing Briscoe off the ramp through a table. So he's already out of the match. The match hasn't even started. FTR finally comes out, evens things up. There's some fighting going on outside of the cage. House of Black is then triple teaming Dax. And out of nowhere, Cash flies off the top of the cage and takes out the entire House of Black faction. Out of nowhere, we get Daniel Garcia back, supposed to be injured. He's back now that Briscoe's injured. Julia Hart then appears. Now, I want to stop for a second and talk about Julia Hart because in the AEW, I know the women's division's not that strong. Julia Hart is the heart of that women's division, man. The stuff that she's doing right now with the spooky type vibes is, I can't say enough about it. So she comes out, ends up hitting Garcia with the black mist. So he's incapacitated, basically. He finally gets back up, pile drives Malachi Black on a steel chair. Like a big bump, too. It was pretty nasty, man.
It was dope.
Big spots like that. Garcia climbs the cage.
It was a really pro turn of events. I remember I was watching, and that whole sequence of events right there with the off-stage stuff they were doing.
Pretty nasty. Pretty nasty stuff. Garcia then is climbing the cage while Malachi Black is trying to crawl to the door at the same time. So it's like a race. See who gets there first. Briscoe finally comes back, slams the door on Malachi Black's face. And FTR and Briscoe ended up winning the match. They got the celebration in with Garcia, even though he was injured. Then Mark Briscoe got injured on his way out to the ring. It was, cool to see. Quality episode of Collision. Stay tuned. All right, y'all. You are still listening to the Source WWE AEW All Things Wrestling podcast with Joe and Mike. Yeah. Moving along, we're going to go on to Wednesday. You know what that means. AEW Dynamite live. Boom. Yeah, it's a vibe. So they open the show with a banger. At least in my opinion, it's a banger. It's Jeff Hardy. I know you're not the biggest fan of Jeff Hardy.
Oh, hang it up.
I mean, like
That's
I
it.
said, even though he's got his demons, he he was a staple in my childhood when it came to extreme wrestling, high risk
See, that's
type
the thing.
shit.
That's
you know
the
what I
thing.
mean?
Whatever segue right now, basically, like all I'm saying is, never like the Hardys. Always just two
Fair.
wrestlers
Fair.
that just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I mean,
ever.
for me, it was those TLC matches with Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys that really did that. You know what I mean? So it's Jon Moxley versus Jeff Hardy. Opening match, bell rings, the crowd is torn, dude. They don't know who to cheer for. They're cheering for both dudes. A lot of outside action. Mox is breaking out submissions. Once again, now listen to this. Once again, this comes up on the screen while you're watching the match. Once again, Tony Khan announces that he has an announcement to make. Tony Khan and his announcements.
Love it.
You got to announce that you have an announcement. It might be the Mercedes Moné signing. I'm not sure. I'm seeing that on the dirt sheets. I don't know if it's confirmed. So, yeah, that happened during that match. Mox ends up finding a pen somewhere, right? Like a writing utensil. Mm-hmm. He finds a pen and stabs Jeff Hardy with the pen.
I've seen that.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
He looks like he tried stabbing him in the face, and then he's putting the pen through Jeff Hardy's plugs in his ears, and it kind of made me uncomfortable, which triggered the "you sick fuck" chants. You sick fuck. Mm-hmm. Then the first botch of the night, they went for a twist of fate type deal on the apron, and Moxley just held on to the second rope, I think it was, and just botched it. Went down super slow. You know, it just wasn't a good look.
Well, I feel like that has a little bit to do with Jeff Hardy and the fact that he does look a little slow. He does look a little unnatural.
He's tired. He's
those
tired.
Things are going to happen with somebody who's not really a polished young talent or even middle-aged talent. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, he's been around for decades. He's taken some hella bumps. Needless to say, put that botch aside. The match continues on. Jeff ends up missing a swanton bomb, and here comes Moxley again with this rear naked choke. Hardy doesn't tap out. He passes out, basically. Ref calls it. Decision. Next up, you got the dealer's choice match like I was just talking about on Collision. So it's Hangman Adam Page versus Toa Lanoa from the Mogul Embassy. Now, Mike, is it just me, or is Toa Lanoa the great value Solo Sikoa?
Oh, absolutely.
Talk to me.
I was going to say
Yeah.
something earlier when we were talking about him on the Collision recap. But yeah, he's totally looks like he should be in the bloodline,
Right.
Or battling the bloodline, or teaming with The Rock to face the bloodline, or something along those lines. You know,
For real, he has that old school head shrinkers vibe from
absolutely.
our
Wild Samoans
from our childhoods, the Wild Samoans, the
Absolutely.
real bloodline,
The real
type shit. But we are in AEW right now, so we're not going to get too deep into that. So the dealer's choice match, Toa Lanoa and Hangman Adam Page, not great. Hangman went for a dead eye, and Leona straight up no-sold it. I don't know. That didn't really go over with the crowd. Eventually Hangman ends up winning. Crucifix pin, real quick, 3. It's just kind of like a filler match, even though it was the dealer's choice. It's not like it blew me away type deal. Next up, you get Wardlow. Okay, you get Wardlow versus Commander. Now, right away, before the match even starts, there's another botch. I'm counting botches. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I'm counting botches. I'm that much of a mark. So, Wardlow comes out. The announcer says, instead of Mr. Mayhem, the announcer goes, Mr. Wardlow. It was supposed to be Mr. Mayhem, Wardlow.
Yep.
Announcer goes, Mr. Wardlow.
Mm-hmm.
Really uncomfortable botch. Kept it going. And during this match, you get Adam Cole.
Doesn't happen in the WWE too much.
No. Hey, man. All right, AEW, we're still new, man. During this match, you get Adam Cole on commentary. Then just Commander's getting ragdolled, dude, by Wardlow. The size difference alone is ridiculous. You're talking about Wardlow, who looks like a bulldozer, against Commander, who's probably the size of a little bit bigger Rey Mysterio. You know what I mean? So he's getting manhandled and goes for a powerbomb. Wardlow ends up going for a powerbomb. His finisher, he's got the powerbomb symphony. So he's going for that. He's going for that finisher. And then you see Wardlow's knee just buckle. Like, you saw it happen. Like, he went for that power bomb and his knee just literally gave out. He hit the power bomb and didn't look pretty. Wardlow ended up winning, but Wardlow just looked super pissed after the match. Like, I could be really hurt. I could be missing some time. He hobbles to the back, and luckily all was well. They said it was nothing to be worried about.
Well, that's good because they have that storyline going that's hanging on by a thread right now, interest level wise.
Literally,
if they lose him, that faction is gonna fizzle out.
Yeah, it's not looking good for sure. Backstage segment, we get Big Bill and Ricky Starks, the tag team champions. Big Bill, Big Cass, Big Bill, whatever you want to call him. What is it? He's 7'2", and you can't teach that.
Big Hoss.
Yeah. So you get this backstage segment, right? It's those two, and then it's Sting and Darby Allin. Basically, they're building up to the tag team title match at Revolution, in which Sting may retire as a tag team champion. This is Sting's final match. And a crazy, crazy career where this guy's 60 plus, still taking table bumps and jumping off of barricades. And
yeah,
basically the promo was along the lines of Darby talking about how legendary Sting is and how legendary it would be for him to retire as a world tag team champion. And then you get the rebuttal from Big Bill, Ricky Starks, we're going to kick your ass. You guys ain't winning nothing. Segment ends. And the next match, this one actually kind of surprised me. Like, it's Chris Jericho, so what you see is what you get.
Good God.
It's Chris Jericho. All right, still one of my all-time favorites. Love Chris Jericho, but he's turning into exactly what he used to talk about being.
It's
you know what I mean?
Come on, it's like, come on, man. Like,
he looks like my drunk aunt at a cookout.
They have so much talent that they could be working and featuring and creating storylines with. Instead, they got Chris Jericho looking like...
He's looking old, all right? He's looking old.
It's not fun to watch.
I don't know if you saw the picture of Jericho with the Big Show on the recent Jericho cruise, where Jericho wore his old gear for the Jericho tag team.
I did, and it looked terrible.
It looked really, really bad.
You see the Big Show's last appearance when he got slammed through that car?
Yeah, oh my God,
he was dead, honestly.
Yeah, he honestly bounced and slid off that car. And didn't look like a good bump for Paul White. So it's Kyle Fletcher from the Don Callis family. He's the ROH TV champion, and he's going against Chris Jericho. Right away, Chris Jericho comes out. They botch his pyro. He comes out, does that taunt with the baseball bat. Nothing happens. Absolutely nothing. Somebody's fired. The pyro comes like as he's walking down the ramp, not even posing anymore. So the match is back and forth. Don Callis interference multiple times, like over and over again. It was kind of getting annoying. Powerhouse Hobbs interference multiple times. Then you got Jericho slapping on the walls. Fletcher was actually able to rope break out of it. Now you get, well, I thought this was pretty cool. You get the Judas effect by Jericho. He hit it multiple times. He hit it twice. Didn't work the first time because it was an outside of the ring type deal. Hits it the second time in the ring. Jericho goes over. He wins the match. Of course, you want to picture Jericho putting young talent over, and he's still out here winning matches.
Yup.
Following that, we get a Bullet Club Gold in-ring promo.
I got 2 words for you.
Scissor me.
Scissor me
so we
bang,
get
bang, scissor game.
yeah, we get a promo with the ROH Trios champs and the AEW Trios champs, the Acclaimed, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy Ass is out there. It's a fucking party. Transitions into the next match with Deonna Purrazzo and Taya Valkyrie. The best part about this match for me was Timeless Toni Storm being on commentary. What she's doing with this Marilyn Monroe type gimmick, dude, it's one of my favorite things about wrestling.
She's doing a great job.
She's all in, dude. You can tell she's living that character right now, which is kind of concerning me.
I mean,
it's like, where do you blur the line?
Not a bad character to have to play.
Not at all.
Ritzy,
Absolutely. Then comes another botch. Excalibur, the poor dude, one of the commentators. He's talking about Jeff Hardy, but he calls him Jeff Harvey. Jeff Harvey. And while Toni Storm's on commentary,
I feel like this is happening with a lot of AEW stuff.
A lot of botches, man. It's all right. It's botchamania. It's WCW all over again. All right, I love it. So he botches, and Toni Storm ends up playing it off. She was like, "Oh yes, Jeff Harvey," because she talks all weird and funny. So she kind of saved him in a way. Then Purrazzo throws Taya right into Toni Storm. Tony Storm gets knocked over. She gets up, right? She gets back in her seat and puts the headset back on. She goes, I think someone pissed in my seat. She goes, I think someone pissed. Yo, it was funny as hell, dude. Peraza ends up getting the win by submission, and then it's main event time. All right, so this is the second dealer's choice match of the night. It's the main event. We know Swerve's in it, all right? We don't know who he's facing because Hangman kept it a secret for the dealer's choice to see who Strickland was going to go against. So Swerve comes out, crowds
I feel like
popping.
him and Swerve... Well, Swerve Strickland and Trick Williams have like similar entrance music.
They do. Yeah, both awesome guys too. Both awesome wrestlers. But so Swerve's coming out alone, which is rare. He's coming out by himself, all business, and RVD's music hits.
Ah.
All right, so he's the dealer's choice opponent. He comes out, crowd pops, dude. RVD looks good. You know what I mean? He's one of the few that, in my opinion, Rob Van Dam can still go with the best of them right now. And, you got Samoa Joe ringside for this dealer's choice match. That's throwing another little curveball at it. You know what I mean? You got RVD out here looking young, dude. Young. Like, I was honestly surprised. I mean, every time I see him, he looks good. But this match, he was just on. He had the gas on.
Yeah, but they can't bring any more big talent in that's relevant right now, so
I
they
know.
got to bring in another legacy
I know.
wrestler. It's like,
I know.
You see little wrestling factions that tour around the U.S. Those little like things that pop up here and there.
The independents.
They have the random legends.
Yep, they'll have like Dolph Ziggler, he'll be doing that soon.
And they should be bigger than that. They should be better than that. They should be cultivating this young talent,
Yes.
featuring more Orange Cassidy. Figure it out with MJF.
Yes. Yeah,
just
man.
Finished,
The bidding war of
filming a movie,
2024.
so get him back somehow.
Tony Khan needs to pay Maxwell Jacob Friedman every dollar he has in his bank account.
It just hasn't been the same without him. It hasn't
No.
been the same. I don't even look forward to it as much as I used to watching AEW because I used to be the
It's
MJF
a big
show.
void. It's a big void. That's for sure. It's a big void. But the show.
Entertaining guy.
Yep, the show must go on. You know what I mean? But we miss him for sure. Like I said, Van Dam's looking young, dude. He's out there flipping, kicking, doing all this crazy stuff, right? And of course, the you still got it chants are there, because he's just absolutely killing it, dude. Him and Swerve just have this chemistry that I never thought that I would see. It's kind of a dream match to begin with. A lot of chair spots. The match was quality, man. Swerve ended up hitting a sit-out powerbomb on RVD, landing on a chair. That was a pretty big bump for Rob, I thought. You get Swerve getting up, hitting a flatliner. You get a Swerve stomp. Listen to this, though. You get a Swerve stomp from the ring apron to the outside of the ring while RVD's neck is in a chair. Basically, he's laid out in a chair. It was basically like the Rollins stomp. That's the Swerve stomp, too.
His age doing a stunt like that, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. They're battling. RVD gets him back in the ring, goes for that patented 5-star frog splash. Ends up missing it. Misses the 5-star, so he's hurting. So Swerve then climbs the top rope. Signals, hits the Swerve stomp. 1, 2, 3 actually beats Rob Van Dam fucking clean. Clean win. Great main event. Gonna wrap up the AEW portion of this show right now.
What a better way to wrap it up with Swerve and RVD. Hell yeah.
Whose house? Swerve's house. Just want to say thanks to anyone who is listening out there, man. It's the first one. We're going to be hitting you with weekly episodes. It is The Source, WWE, AEW, All Things Wrestling Podcast. We are now going to finish up with WWE SmackDown, February 2nd, 2024. So this episode of SmackDown, dude, major star power. Major. Like, the place, I believe, was sold out, obviously.
So many ups and downs.
Yes, major star power. We start with our United States champion, who I'm a big fan of, Logan Paul, the Maverick.
I'm on the fence.
Yeah, Mike's on the fence. He loves his drinks, though. He loves his drinks, though.
At least. They used to be not a fan, so being on the fence now is he's starting to,
He's growing on you.
be a good character.
Yeah.
Good heel.
So he comes out. He's basically saying, I'm the greatest U.S. champ of all time. All right. Obviously, we know that's not true.
He's everything awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's got the big spots. He's getting better on the mic. He's creating some heat. So, I will give it to him for that.
Who's got all that practice on TikTok and the social media stuff, you know what I mean? So he should be a good talker, right?
Yeah, definitely, a good fit for the gig. But yeah, he's cutting that promo. Kevin Owens comes out. They start yapping with each other. Basically, Paul's saying that he outsmarted him with the brass knucks because he never wanted to use them.
Chestnut checkers is what
yeah, exactly. Chestnut checkers. KO ends up acknowledging the referee for catching it, admitting to it, saying it's all his fault. All in all, a pretty entertaining segment.
Kevin Owens was great. He came out and he was like, I don't even care. He was like, I got to hit you with brass knuckles, so everything's all good for me.
Yeah.
He's like, kudos to the ref. The ref caught that one. Good job.
Yeah, right. He wasn't too salty about it for sure.
The match all comes into fruition when Logan Paul, who's also commentating at the time,
yes, doing a good
walks
job.
over, slides the brass knuckles to Austin Theory, who gets him.
He
does. Then, he gets super kicked right in the face.
Right in the face.
Grayson Waller was distracting the ref, so he hits him off the apron, and then he gets the brass knuckles, hits him, and that's it.
1, 2, 3.
It's awesome.
Yep.
Awesome ending to that one. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. Kevin Owens via pinfall. Then we get backstage, and it's a view of General Manager Nick Aldis's office door. The door opens. Who else but Naomi? You love her hair, don't you, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. And Tiffany Stratton, too. But, yeah, it's very obviously a weave or some kind of fake hair on her. I feel like they could clean that up a little bit on Naomi.
Yeah.
It looked a little weird in the
The quality is a little off, I will say.
Yeah, they got to do something with that. But, you get backstage and they walk out, and then it's Bianca Belair, Mishin, and a crew out there, and Tiffany Stratton walks over.
Gets right in Mia Yim's face.
Yeah, and she actually gets right in Bianca Belair's face.
Oh, it was Bianca first, yes.
And she says she's going for the big dog or whatever.
Right, exactly.
And
the EST.
Then when she says she's going to do something and acts like she's going to do something, she turns and hits Mishin in the face.
Exactly.
And that's when Mishin turns to... what is it, Nick Aldis?
It's Nick Aldis, and they go talk and they book a match right there.
When am I getting my chance to fight her? And he says tonight.
The second match of the night, we get Pete Dunne, which I'm just going to stop real quick and say I'm so happy he's now Pete Dunne again, and he's not the Brawling Brute Butch. You know what I mean? It just didn't work out.
He's now the Brummy.
It didn't work out. I did hear... through dirt sheets and all that Vince McMahon's original plans for Pete Dunne were to never have him wrestle, but just cut like scrappy promos, but he couldn't wrestle. That's what I mean?
Clearly he can wrestle.
Clearly he can wrestle. So it's the Fatal 4-Way Championship qualifier. It's Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate versus Pretty Deadly versus Legado del Fantasma, led by Santos Escobar there, versus the LWO with Zelina Vega in a Fatal 4-Way Championship qualifier match. The match is going on. Pete Dunne is doing his what is it, the master of joint manipulation stuff, where he's, breaking the fingers and snapping the wrist and all that stuff. He's getting a bit of that in, tags in Tyler Bate. They both do the double Tyler driver. They pick up the win. So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, by winning that match, they get to go against the Judgment Day in Perth.
There's actually another side to it. There's another... that was one half of the...
so there's another qualifier then.
Going on, that's going to end up facing Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne for the chance to get the title shot.
I got you. Okay, so they're well on their way then. They're well on their way.
Now, let's not forget that there was an awesome promo, a little snippet of a promo where Damage Control was backstage and they were pretty much talking about Bayley, and you see that Bayley overheard them the whole time talking about her.
They didn't know she was there.
She looked hurt and betrayed in that moment.
She looked like a lost puppy.
After this match we just went over where Bate and Pete Dunne won, all of a sudden, there's Bayley coming out with Damage Control and, all together as one big happy family.
It's time to make her WrestleMania decision.
She comes out and they get in the ring and she starts talking and she goes on this awesome speech.
She did, and then it took a turn to where it was like, you know what? You guys never cared about me.
Well, she spoke in Japanese, and that's what really tipped him off.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, she started speaking in Japanese and said, "I know all the things you guys have been saying around me in Japanese."
Behind her back.
And it was Asuka, who freaking got behind Bayley with Sane, and they attacked her from behind, beat her down.
And I was kind of pissed.
She had the lead pipe.
Yeah.
She had the lead pipe and beat that down.
She pulled it right out of the corner. I was kind of pissed at first because, damn, man, I was really looking forward to this decision to see what it was, and now, that they took her out, she might not be able to do it now, but, she comes out of the corner with that lead pipe, knocks everybody out.
And there was a standoff. She had the lead pipe. Ilya Sky had the title belt. They were both, and then she crept out of the ring, and that's great. That's what I wanted to happen. That's what they finally gave us something that we wanted,
exactly.
And it all fell very quickly into place.
Like you said earlier before the show, it's like when Bayley said, "I'll see you at WrestleMania." That was a goosebumps. Oh, promo.
When she said, yeah, I had literal goosebumps in that moment.
Third match of the night, you got Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits versus the Final Testament with Scarlett, of course, and Paul Ellering. This Karrion Kross new stable, the Final Testament. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but I do love AOP. Authors of Pain, cool as hell.
It's a why not kind of faction.
Why not? Nothing else is going over for Kross.
It can hang around for a while. It serves an annoying purpose. It'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, as a heel faction, it may work.
AOP's cool to have in the mix,
Yeah, they had a solid NXT run, and, when they were first brought up to the main roster, they probably weren't ready. And, now could be the time for them for sure. They end up beefing, and it ends up just being a no contest, not even an actual match.
Yeah, they're just brawling all over the place. Scarlett jumps on Bobby Lashley's back, and it just kind of gets called, and they just are just fueling that rivalry, obviously that's gonna. They're trying to have that rivalry take up a lot of time, and it's a filler thing they can throw in wherever they want to now to fill some space. So bravo to them.
Yeah, and in the end, the Final Testament ends up just retreating backstage. So
which is good to see because it was the other way around last time.
Right. So
I think they're calling Bobby Lashley's faction the Pride.
I think they are. I think it's the Pride. Don't quote us on this one, guys, but we're pretty sure.
Rumors.
We're pretty sure. We're definitely going to have to fact check that, but we'll find out. Match number 4, you got the SmackDown debut of Tiffany Stratton, who I thought was great in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I didn't know how it was going to go, but she actually looked really good compared to all the other girls. I think she's going to be a star. I really do. And they set this match up very well with the promo earlier, and I think that it went right into it and was really, really a good fight. Back and forth for
I agree.
For an NXT superstar coming up, it didn't really seem like
for sure. And against somebody like Mia Yim, who has been with the OC for a while, you're talking AJ Styles, the Good Brothers. All good wrestlers have been around her, and she's definitely had the right coaching. Mia Yim hits a pretty gnarly spin kick, just doesn't do the job, and then you got Stratton with a senton that has Mia down. She then goes up to the top rope, hits that prettiest moonsault ever. And you could probably count to 10.
And I love that move, the prettiest moonsault ever. It's funny because of her character, the Barbie-esque character, and the name for the move. B, the way she goes from the bottom rope to the middle rope to the top rope, moonsault, in all one kind of motion, is really cool. It hasn't been done before, really. So
it's impressive. It's definitely impressive.
And now for the moment we've all been waiting for. We know that it's the end of the night. We know the show's winding down. We know Cody's coming out to give us his damn decision, which would really wrap everything up really nicely in a bow, just to hear him come out and say, Roman Reigns,
this is who I'm going for. Blah, blah, blah. Yes.
But instead, Roman Reigns music hits. The crowd goes absolutely bananas, bonkers.
Shit, dude. Ape shit. For a heel, these crowds are still popping.
It's just like what Rhea Ripley's doing with her heel pop,
I agree.
I don't remember another time in the history of wrestling where we had two heels that are getting cheered this much and
I know.
Really are
it's
owning
crazy.
The heel role so well,
And we all want him to lose so bad at the same time.
So he comes down to the ring.
Yep, he's cutting a promo.
He starts giving us his side of why his championship is the best championship, and I didn't really expect it. I didn't expect him to come down and do this or want to do that, but he made a really good argument.
He really did. Like, this is the title that all the legends have held. You know what I mean? Though the World Heavyweight Championship is the workhorse title, this one is much more prestigious.
The one he held in his dad's hands and was taken away was this title. It wasn't the other title.
This title. This is the Dusty Rhodes title.
So from there, we just get confused way more.
Right. Because Cody comes out and says, okay, Roman, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for everything. But he also says that he's moving his goalpost at the same time. And I was kind of like, okay, where are you going with this? He says, I'm not coming for you at WrestleMania. Crowd instantly is like, fuck. Okay? It's like, are we finishing the story? Are we delaying the story? Are we rewriting the story? We don't know.
They're going to keep this story going for as long as they possibly can.
Yes. So then Cody Rhodes, after he defers for some odd reason, then says he has special counsel.
He's been talking with special counsel.
Yeah, special counsel.
And that Roman Reigns might actually know this special counsel pretty well.
And that this special counsel knows a lot about Roman Reigns and knows him well. Needless to say,
the crowd starts looking at the entranceway, expecting The Rock to come out at that point.
And it is The Rock. The Rock comes out. Cody and Rock have this little moment in the middle of the ring.
Standoff kind of
Standoff, and then it's like, okay.
Rock put his hand out first.
Rock puts his hand out, pulls Cody in, tells him a few things, which I think he's probably saying, hey, sorry, I stole your WrestleMania main event, dude. Like, my bad.
Something like that, or maybe like, hey, you know, you're the next greatest wrestler of all time, and now is your chance, and this is your moment.
And I'm going to take it, pretty much.
Yeah, but is he, or is there a higher plan where Cody's going to win it at the Elimination
Correct.
Chamber?
Like he said, he's moving his goalpost. Does that mean he is coming for him sooner than WrestleMania? Is he going to go into Perth at the Elimination Chamber and take that title, so that way it's just a battle for the Tribal Chief?
Does it have to go down at WrestleMania? Or I know we could do it at Elimination Chamber, but can you do the title shot thing after WrestleMania? Is there any rule to that or anything?
Right, or are they going to build this till SummerSlam? We don't know. We have no answers.
Personally, I'm seeing Cody hopefully saying he wants his title shot at the Elimination Chamber.
Right.
And for that swap to happen there, the story is finished. Cody can then headline WrestleMania still as champion. Roman gets his fight.
Right. We all get what we want.
And it's not for a title, and The Rock can win it and shut Roman Reigns up and send him away for a little while.
Would be much better. You know? Would be much better because Reigns, with this long title reign, is probably going to be due for even more time off than he already gets. And basically it ends with a stare-off in the ring. Nothing said. We have no answers, guys. Nothing. The Rock is standing there.
Backstage.
Cody leaves. You know what I mean? The Rock is standing there. Yeah, silently, of course. The Rock is standing there. Roman's standing there. And then you just get end of SmackDown.
Which is great. And then, you watch the after videos on YouTube of what actually happens when the cameras went out. It was just a longer stare-off than what we saw.
Yep.
He raises the title up in his face.
He
leaves. Then, towards the end of it, he gives, The Rock one of those, like, you're nothing kind of looks. Walks past him.
Out.
Walks back there. The Rock kind of stands in the ring, stares around, very stoically in the ring with the crowd.
Right, everyone's
cheers
going bonkers.
Him,
everyone's going bonkers. He's the people's
goes and grabs
champ,
the mic, and then the crowd's like, hell yeah, the silence is finally being broken. He's going to tell us something worthwhile.
And he's cutting a promo about attendance records in Birmingham, Alabama. We'll see if next week we get any answers, but that last segment is, as of right now, voted the most disliked segment in WWE YouTube history. Tons more dislikes than likes. It's actually, the fans are expressing how they feel about this, and rightfully so, because we all know what we wanted to see. But we'll let that play out. Once again, guys, you are listening to The Source, WWE, AEW, All Things Wrestling Podcast with Joe and Mike. Yeah. Make sure you guys tune in next week. We'll have a lot more for you. I'm going to end this podcast. I'm going to try to end every one of these with Today in Wrestling History fact, or a couple of them at least. So going back to February 3rd, 1989, WWF main event was live from Milwaukee, and we had the Mega Powers, which consisted of Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. They went toe-to-toe with the Twin Towers. We're talking Big Boss Man and Akeem. Really cool golden era stuff. So that was today in 1989. And one other thing before we leave, February 3rd, 1960, which would be today in 1960, is the birthday of one of the Rockers. We got Marty Jannetty's birthday today, and our thoughts are with him, man, because not only did he just lose his sister the other day, on the same day he found out that the doctors want to amputate his leg that he's had a lot of problems with. So thoughts and prayers to Marty Jannetty for sure.
The Rockers.
Gotta love him, man. Also, I'll leave you with this one. Today in 2000, Vince McMahon introduced the XFL.
Yeah.
And we
It's a
all
great
know,
concept,
yeah,
honestly.
great concept. They tried, you know what I mean? But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother episode. It's kind of merged in between these other leagues, and it's I don't know how I feel about it, but this is the Source Wrestling Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.